everything was fine when like Chad and I got together. It was great, in fact. We got married, we had 4 kids, everything was great. Like, everything was taken care of. We were talking about retirement. We were talking about the kids going to college. We had 4 kids. Everything seemed great, and then everything just failed. Chad lost his job. He stopped making good money. And then eventually he just started drinking. And as much as I would ask him to stop, he was just like, this is the only way that I can cope with the stress. And Chad drunk was mean. Pretty soon, I couldn't tell sober Chad from drunk Chad. And then he started beating me. He would come home late from bars and he would yell at me. He'd call me worthless and tell me I was stupid. And then he'd hit me. And sometimes it was once, sometimes it was over and over again. And eventually, I just got tired of hiding the bruises and the scrapes from friends and family having to say, oh, well, no, we were wrestling, or he was just playing, or they were just love taps. Whatever it was, I was tired. So one day I made the decision to just pack the kids and my stuff up, and I left. I went to go stay with my mother. And I hired a lawyer and I divorced Chad, and no matter how much he fought, because it wasn't easy. First he was like, you're not leaving me and you're not taking my kids. But all in all, I think I made the right decision to leave him. And I think it'll be better for him.
Hey, my name's Chad. Came from a family in which my father was an alcoholic. He'd come home and he'd be very aggressive. And I swore to myself I was never actually going to be that. But as I grew older, I started having a little fun, and I realized alcohol was actually pretty good and made you feel a lot better than, about who the kind of person you were, the kind of person that you didn't want to be. And once I started realizing that I was basically the scum of the earth, I just drank and drank more, and became a spiral effect to where I just started spending all my money on liquor and partying and just not worrying about the things I had to do. Now, I can see myself, when I look in the mirror, I just see the image of my father. It sort of hurts because I look at my wife, I see my kids. I don't understand why exactly they choose to stay with me or why exactly they choose to be with me, but I guess because I just indulged so much of my money into alcohol and so much of my time into alcohol that I'm just killing them and killing myself. And I just feel as if I'll never be able to come up from it. So I go out and I buy another drink, take a couple more shots, and I feel a lot better because of it. When I take my wife, the minute I get home, if dinner's not cooked right or the house is clean, I just go on a rampage and I slap her around, and it comes to a point where I can literally see the fear in her eyes go from I love you to please don't kill me. And that makes me see myself as just a horrible person. I hate that about it. But man, alcohol is fun. I still want to be my father, but now I look in the mirror, I know I am.
I read somewhere that teenagers begin to forget their memories by the age of 14, but I'm not sure that's true. I still remember the insults my father shouted at me, screaming at my mother, the fear that was behind my brothers and sisters' eyes. I might have been young, but I still remember, it's hard to forget something like that. Every night when my father came home, I was scared. I wasn't scared for myself though, I was scared for my mom. Some days, he wouldn't even look at her, but those were the good days. He would come in, say hello, go straight to his office and wouldn't even talk to her. Then there were the bad days. Those are the days when he came home drunk, started harassing my mother. He would order her around and yell at her and stuff like that when she didn't move fast enough for him. These nights usually ended with my mother silently crying to herself, crying herself to sleep after calming me down. After watching my mother suffer so much, I really hope I don't become like the man my father was. Let me make it clear, my father isn't a bad person. He's made mistakes. And I hope I don't be like it.
Life after my parents divorced, it was hard. I mean, we stayed with my grandmother and, we had to stay there until my mom was back on her feet. And we didn't see our dad a lot because me and Liliana, being the oldest, we remembered most of what happened in the relationship, so it was kind of hard for us to see our father. And we didn't think it was going to have a big effect on us. But as Liliana and we grew up and we started getting into relationships, we followed the footsteps of our mother. Everything was fine in our relationships in the beginning, but for some reason things just took a turn for the worst. When I was dating Stefan, well, he was a great guy. I didn't expect for him to be abusive. He was really nice and he cared about me and, I cared about him and we stayed together for a while. And the first few months, it was nice. Everything was great. But then after a while, he started manhandling me. He grabbed me, he pushed me. But the thing was, he would apologize. So, I kind of just let it go. But after a while, the abuse, it got worse. And his apologies got bigger. But I knew that our relationship wasn't healthy. So, after a while, we broke up. And it was hard for me because I always thought he was a great guy. And Liliana, she was going through what I was going through. So, it was hard for both of us. We didn't have anybody to console into. So, I don't know. Life has just been really hard. But, hopefully things will change. And hopefully as we get older, Liliana and I could, learn to choose men properly and to, pick the right guy. Hopefully someone who doesn't abuse us.
I mean, I don't understand the big fuss about domestic violence. I mean, sometimes I'll hit my girlfriend and that's it. I'll just apologize. I'll be like, babe, it's okay. And she's okay with it, so I don't understand the problem. I don't get it. My friends sometimes hit their girlfriends and nothing happens. I don't understand this big fuss, I really don't.
I mean, what can I say? Liliana's she's a great girl. Just seems like she's been through a lot, dealing with her mother's abuse, her father just slapping everybody when he came home drunk. It's a lot for one person to handle. Sometimes I feel as if she just didn't know how to deal with it, When we were dating, she would start arguments out of nowhere. Like, we were out at dinner, saw one of my ex-girlfriends, talked to her for maybe 3 seconds, and she started an argument. Just doesn't seem fair how someone so smart and beautiful can just be so damaged. I love her to death, but I had to break up with her. I just think she needs a little bit of help getting over the abuse.
Growing up, my parents were my idols. I looked up to them. They just had the perfect relationship. My father always loved her. He treated her great. Every time he came home from work, he would always bring her flowers and some chocolate. And I just thought that was the cutest thing in the world. But as I got older, I started to realize something. And that was that my father abused her. And he beat her up so bad. She had black eyes, bloody lips, and every day I would see her in her room crying. And it broke my heart to see that because he just broke the image I had of him. And I knew at that point that I didn't want a man like him in my life. When I had a husband or a boyfriend or anyone to love me, I didn't want them to beat me to certain points where I would just cry all day. And coming to that realization, it just showed me that I changed a lot, because in previous relationships, I wouldn't cause drama or anything. I would be the sweet, nice girl. But my last 2 relationships has just been total opposite from everything else. Jordan, he had a temper problem. He would beat me occasionally for no reason at all. If I talked out of line because he didn't want me to talk, he would beat me, and I guess that just took me to a breaking point. Not the breaking point, but a breaking point. And so I broke up with him. And then came to Nathan, and he was sweet, awesome. He made me realize what true love could be. And then I started to act differently. I started to cause drama, and I made him angry on purpose. And it's not like I did it intentionally, but I felt because of my past and because of my parents, that's what I just grew up into doing. I wanted to cause problems because I felt like I just was too scared to go into that depth of relationship because of my father and my mother. And so I'm not going to sit here and say that I was a victim in this scenario, because I wasn't. I caused the problems. But now I know that I had to change, because I'm not ready, or maybe I will never be ready to be in a serious relationship.
Yeah, domestic violence is terrible. I can recall a time where my mom got beaten by my father. This was before they got divorced. Me and my siblings came downstairs after hearing a loud noise. Saw my mom bleeding and laying on the floor in the kitchen, and I saw my dad hovering over her. I didn't know what was going on. I was like 6. I just realized my older sister was over there trying to stop her. But it was too late. My dad was too strong. And I never seen a man beat a woman like that in my life. It scarred me.